Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of Good for the Game. It's 9 o'clock Thursday night time, of course, for the handicap rugby chat that matters. We were just getting into the URC last week. It was back for 1 week. And what do? We go into Champions Cup action. Now, I must say, a lot of excitement around the Champions Cup, but it's a tournament that I'll probably be focusing mainly where the South African teams play, because quite simply, I don't know that much about the Gallagher Premiership and the top 14 sides. So, there have been some quite interesting betting moves this week, and we'll run through all of the fixtures with the man in studio. I don't like cricket. I love it. There's lots of talk about Oracle Cricket being launched soon. The man is on absolute fire. Gavin, how are you, mate? First of all, before you comment on the cricket, well done as well. I know you've been in good form in the rugby. Lions a big winner for you last week.
Yes, and the Stormers for that matter. Playing like Argentina, starting off slowly and coming flying back. And also the South African minus. I took minus 50 at 5-2 before the game, and I took minus 55 during the game, and I even took minus 76 during the game, and I was very confident. And I've got to say that Evan Etzebeth from Malmesbury owes me some money, because they would have beaten the 76 had he not stuck one of 10 fingers into the Oak's eye. I don't know what he was doing, but I know there was talk that it happened. It was a retaliation from earlier. But yeah, I didn't win as much as I should have won. But yeah, that was a game where you could see the Welsh weren't going to score. It was evident quite early on. And it reminds me of that game we played Italy in 1999. I don't know if you got involved in that, but that was a minus 63 handicap, I think, or minus 65. And South Africa, there was Port Elizabeth game. South Africa were 40-0 up at halftime, and they ended up 101-0 or 101-3. Not sure what that was, but I remember that game as well. It was one of those games where you could see the Italians weren't going to score, and South Africa were going to run rampant. But this particular game, the bookmakers got it very wrong. I thought they got it slightly wrong, but they got it very wrong. I mean, I was more like 50 for me. They were going to beat 50. Like the handicap at 41 or 42 or 43 was a try too short. And they smashed them. And the Lions got up quite nicely. There you go. Minus 60 arrived nicely. Yeah, because you got it. The Lions, I think they went into that game like, let's try and win. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a go. But the Bulls made a couple of mistakes going for the try instead of taking the 3 points at that moment was pretty silly. They got beaten. And the Stormers, I wasn't surprised. I punted them on the board before the game, took a bit of the handicap as well, but my main bet was the board. And yeah, they won comfortably. It was a great weekend. I only got involved in those 3 bets. I didn't have a bet on the Sharks. I didn't have a bet on the Sharks game. I don't think I was going to back the Sharks, but I didn't have a bet on the Sharks game. And yeah, quite excited. The cricket's been wonderful. I will say one thing before we talk about the rugby. I stand to be corrected, and the viewers can tell me what they think. But I backed South Africa to win that first game at ridiculous prices, and they nearly won it, the first ODI. So I didn't win there. The second game, my mate Michael sends me a message, and he says it's deja vu. And I knew the cricket was on, but I'd forgotten that it started at 10, and I was out working. And he sends me a message, and he says, India got 350. It's deja vu. We're going to lose a couple of wickets. So we obviously lost the first wicket. But bookmakers had South Africa at 8-1 at 65 for 1 after, I think it was 12 or 14 overs. And I looked at that price and I thought, that's stupid. So I had a bet. I only had the one bet. I didn't have another one. Got it at just over 8-1. But what I realized after, I know that the Indian captain made a comment about it at the end of the day. The dew's a big factor in this. And I'm going to tell you, whoever wins the toss will win this game in going into the T20s as well, because of the dew. And the reason why this is so effective right now is because India don't play cricket at home at this time of the year. This is a unique because they're Northern Hemisphere. They were in winter. It was cold. The game the other day guys were cold. And my advice to anyone who wants to have a bet on the cricket, see who wins the toss. And if India win the toss, India will win the game. But if you want a price, you have to wait for them to be in a bit of trouble. So I approach a game like this as a 3/4 and quarter punt. So when the toss is made, 3/4 of the money you put on the team to win, that's won the toss. And you leave your other quarter for if there's a bigger price that comes in running. And when I say bigger, I mean 50% bigger. So if they start at 8 to 10 and they 12 to 10, stick the other 25% on. And I think you will win money at the end of the series. This is a due thing. The algorithms that the Europeans and the young maths geniuses in Europe, whoever set these prices, they don't know. They haven't plugged this stuff in. It's very apparent. I can't believe I got 8 to 1 South Africa, 65 for 1, chasing 350 after they almost got it 3 nights earlier or 2 nights earlier. So, yeah, the toss is going to determine who wins these games, the remaining fixtures in this series. And, of course, if South Africa win the toss, you're going to get a bigger price. India win the toss, you're not going to get a great price. They're starting matches at 5 to 10 or 6 to 10. So I don't bet under 7 to 10. So I'll wait for 7 to 10 and have a bet. And then I'll have a bet if they go bigger later if they win the toss. But, yeah, that's my bundle for the cricket. I'm loving it.
We'll move on to a bit of rugby. Lions also a good result for me last week, but and overall it wasn't the greatest weekend for me, I must say. Looking forward to some Champions Cup. I'm not going to get too involved though. Opening game, Sale Sharks at home +5.5 against Glasgow Warriors.
I'm with you, Brent. I got no idea with these games that don't involve South African teams. I really have no idea.
That's fine. I'll talk on it now, but I just want to. There's some new setting here which takes the banner off after 10 seconds. I just want to edit the banner off there. Sometimes the people make changes and it actually makes your life a bit of a nightmare. Let me just take the timer off and save it, and then I'll bring it back, and hopefully now it will stay on there. More talking to the guys who are watching on this. There was quite a bit of movement on this line. Sale Sharks actually started favourites. They were sort of -2.5, and now Glasgow Warriors are the favourites. I've looked at the teams, and I can't really see the reason, but I don't know the Sale Sharks that well. What I can say is just a warning to punters out there. Quite a bit of bad weather around this weekend, and that is explained by the 42.5 points line, which is very, very low there. But for me, just having a look at the sides and that, I am leaning towards the Sale Sharks, the home team here on the plus, but nothing strong. And like you, Gav, I'll be skimming through most of the games without South African teams. I did see a comment come in. We'll see if it's anything on this. Sale not playing forward, which is obviously a big thing from their team selection. And Cleaver, I wonder, was it pure team selection that saw the price move? Because I saw after the teams came out, there was quite a big move in Glasgow Warriors' favour there. So I'll be interested to hear your views on that one. But there is another game, Gavin, taking place at the same time, which I know you're going to be a lot more excited about, and that is Bayonne against the Stormers. Stormers started favourites. They've got a few, and I'll bring the teams up now. They've got a few changes. Bayonne also resting a few players. They do have a very strong home record, but Stormers started favourites, and Bayonne have been backed into the marginal favourites here.
When I see a handicap that's pretty much level like this is, I think to myself, why isn't this French team at home a bigger minus? Because you're right, they do have better home records. In fact, I remember Darry Worthington that used to work for me. He's living in Vietnam at the moment. I don't know if he watches our show. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he was of the opinion that you can back these French teams at home quite consistently, and you make money. I never ever went through the experiment, but I think the bookmakers are worried, and I think they're right to be worried. This Stormers team is delivering properly. This is a great team. They've got momentum. They've done okay in this tournament. They haven't been absolute rubbish, and they're on a roll at the moment. And I think, it's horrible to say this. I was expecting this to be a +7 or +8, and even though it's only +1.5, and they're probably 11 to 10 or 12 to 10 to win the game, I think they win the game just because of the way they're playing. And I don't know much about this French team. I can't put a lot of money on this game, but if you're thinking like me, the Stormers are the right team to back, and you probably have to wait for them to go behind, and they have gone behind in a couple of games starting off. The good news for us is that they have been in Europe for a little bit of a while, or quite a few of the players. So this is not like they just got on a plane from South Africa and they've had, not that they have jet lag, but hotel lag and travel lag. I think they would have got to this venue quite quickly after their game last week. And I think they would have had a decent captain's run and practice and got used to the conditions. I'm going to say back the Stormers. You don't need to necessarily back them before the game. You can have a bet during the game. But I do think they'll win this game. The price is not great. It's not what I expected it to be. But I'm definitely a Stormers punter here because they are playing good rugby at the moment. And, I don't know that much about this French team, so I can't put a lot of money on it. But I'm definitely backing the Stormers. And there again, what you just said about the last game, 41 points. They're expecting it to be grim and probably wet and whatever else. And the Stormers are used to those kind of conditions. Cape Town in winter is always like that. So, I think this is pointing to a Stormers win, but it's not a great price. So it's Stormers or no bet.
Okay, well, I'm going to go against you there. I do fancy Bayonne on this one. I see there's some 9 to 10 available. I'll take them to win the game. I've got a bit of a theory on the Stormers here. Not really on the Stormers. This is something I'm sort of toying with in my head. And I'm wondering, the Stormers now, if you're the Stormers coaching staff and looking at where you are at this stage of the season, and let me first of all say, Henrik pointed out to me early in the week, you won't believe it, Gavin, the Stormers have drifted further in the betting after last week's win over Munster.
That's ridiculous.
Which is crazy. And Leinster are unmoved, of course, at 13 to 20. But the point I want to make here is not that they would tell the players, go out there and lose, but if I'm the Stormers here, I'm going, what are my best chance of silverware this season? It's the URC. I mean, I'm at top of the table after 6 matches. I'm looking good. Even if I have a good Champions Cup, the chances are quite good. You're going to run into a Toulouse or something that's going to beat you along the way. I'm actually thinking that the Stormers could be worth opposing in the Champions Cup, not because they're a bad team, but because I think deep down the focus is going to be on the URC, which they now, in my opinion, have a very good chance of winning. So just a little bit of a theory, and probably the first round, you can look at a bit of team selection maybe, but it's probably a hard thing to really gauge because it's not the sort of thing that a coach is going to say to the team before the game. Listen, guys, but just in little things like team selection, I'll be looking out for signals on that type of thing. Fareed, though, is leaning in your direction there, Gav. He's leaning towards the Stormers, with Bayonne having had a tough game last week. And that's where Fareed has a bit of an advantage because he follows the top 14 and he follows all the leagues as well. Whereas you and I, we're URC men at the end of the day. And we have to speculate a little bit about these things. Sports punting tips. I missed his comments. I'm just going to bring it up here. Disagree about the travel. I think the longer they're away from home, the more disadvantaged. Except the travel to Oz, New Zealand, for example. But by the end of the tour, they're ready for home. And that is also a good point, I guess. They might be getting to the point where it's like time to come home now. And I suppose, but I look at the Stormers team, and not a lot of the guys were necessarily on international duty. And I don't know how long the others have actually been away because it was obviously the international break. But bottom line, Gav, you going Stormers here. I'm going Bayonne. One of us will be correct. Unless it's a draw.
Yep.
Right, let's move on to the next game. This game is Saracens up against Clermont. Bit of money here for Saracens. So I think there was 11 or 12.5 early in the week. We've got 14.5 now. Also, when I looked, a little bit of rain. I sort of quickly check the forecast on this game. When I looked this morning, or was it? Yeah, it was this morning. Possible showers as well for this one. It looks pretty windy, so it'll be interesting to see what the points line is. But I don't have a view on this one. This is on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, I don't have a view on this one. Gav, you willing to skip past this one?
Yep.
And then
skipping away.
a game where I know you will have an opinion is the Bulls up against Bordeaux. And Bulls actually opened underdogs here, slight underdogs, sort of about 2 points. And the money has gradually, well, steadily, if I could say, come for the Bulls. Home game for them. Been a lot of rain in Joburg and Pretoria over the last couple of weeks. There are possible showers forecast for the game as well. Talking now for points punters, we of course don't unfortunately have the Saturday games points. And if anyone has seen them anywhere, please mention them in the live chat. But Gav, this one, Bulls, I haven't seen if they've named their team, but might have a couple of box back or whatever. What are we looking at here?
I don't see the Bulls losing this game. One of the things that always amazes me is the French never send their best teams outside of France. They just don't. That's actually a bad comment. To the Southern Hemisphere. When they go to New Zealand and Australia and South Africa for that matter, they don't send their best team. So I think they might be giving a chance to a few players. I don't know the teams, but they're not going to win this game. Bulls will win the game. Will they smash them? I don't know. And it's one of these games that you have to wait a bit. I think the motivation for the Bulls, I don't think they're bringing their best team. I think the motivation for the Bulls here is that they got beaten last week, and they shouldn't have got beaten. They were the home team. They were, the Bulls are better than the Lions, or they have been for quite a few years now. Few things went wrong. Even Billy LaRue had a mediocre game. Nobody had a great game for the Bulls last week. I think they had a good Monday morning video session and probably ironed out a couple of things, and they'll go for this game. Any home game for the South African teams in this competition, they will play. They'll go for it. So yeah, I like the Bulls here. And it's one of these ones where I'm going to rather take a -10 or a -12, get a bit of a price. And if they win by 9 and I lose, I'm okay because I'm going for a price. But I do think the Bulls will win this game, and I think they'll win it by more than 10.
Fareed Manuel saying Bordeaux take this comp seriously and will field a solid team.
I don't believe it.
Class to the Bulls. I do rate this Bordeaux team, and I must admit I am leaning towards Bordeaux at current betting. But for me, I'm looking for points in this game. I am a bit wary of underfoot conditions, but this game to me strikes me as a game which could well open up with a lot of points.
Has it been raining in Joburg and Pretoria this week?
Quite a bit of rain, but there was also quite a bit of rain last week before the Lions-Bulls game, and I think there was something like 76 points. So if it's dry on the day of the game, I'll probably be tempted to an overs play. And looking forward to seeing what the bookies actually come out with. Bulls could be rusty trying to reintegrate the box back into the mix, and Bordeaux not the current champions for nothing. So a little bit of split opinion there in the live chat, but certainly should be a very good game to watch. I am more than likely going to be pulling for points in that one. Right, let's go to La Rochelle up against Leicester. And the French team here, this betting I think has been fairly stable all week. We've got La Rochelle -11.5. And Gav, without being specific on this, I guess this comes down to, French team at home, similar to what you were talking about up front. One thing I will say I've noticed over the years is that some of the English teams almost punch a little bit above their weight when they go to France. Almost the opposite of what we're talking about with the French teams, where they almost put up the flag. I find the English teams can surprise in that. So for me, a bit of a dangerous game. I'll pretty much be guided by anyone who comes in on the live chat, and Fareed has done that, saying Leicester can make a game of this. Any views at all on this one, Gav?
No.
Right, let's move on. And the next game is... Oh, sorry, I almost skipped a game there. It's Leinster at home to Harlequins. And we got Leinster -24.5 against the Quins. Now, Leinster have named a very strong side. I haven't seen Quins' side yet. Quins are a very exciting team to watch. This could be a game for points as well. But, Leinster, of course, expected to compete in both competitions. Thoughts on that, Gavin? If I said you have to have a bet, Leinster
it seems too high to me. I don't know if I'd be taking -24 in game one.
It does. I kind of have the same feeling. It does look high.
Me, I don't know if you can go. Yeah, yes, I'm looking at some of the results here. 62-0 last year, 14, 13 the year, well, a long time before that. I don't know. It just seems too high. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
it
a
does
plus
have a
punter
high.
here, or I'm not a punter, but if there's no South African game taking place at the same time, sorry, I don't know what time that is. Yeah, I might get involved in that. The big handicap games is probably the biggest handicap of the weekend for the Champions Cup. I'll watch a bit and probably get involved in the plus. It just seems too high. And Leinster, as we spoke about last week, they're not looking like the 6-10 everybody thinks they are. So I don't know.
Right, the boys saying Quins haven't been on the greatest of form there in the live chat as well. Just to tell you time-wise, this game's at 7:30, so it does clash, but not with one of the South African games. It clashes with the La Rochelle game, which is also off at 7:30. La Rochelle leads. So they're just the forecast I had a look at when I went on this morning. Looks like there could be a bit of rain about, a little bit humid, and that sort of stuff. But it doesn't look ridiculously bad, the weather, so we'll wait and see what happens there. Let's move on to another game which does at least have a URC team in, and that's the Scarlets. They're plus 7.5 here against the Bristol Bears. This one, no real firm view for me. I mean, Scarlets are a pretty poor side, but I don't know Bristol what they like this season.
Yeah, so that Scarlets team's actually done quite well this year. I just want to see the seven. They're starting at 7.5. That seems too high. I don't know. Yeah, Bristol have won both of the away games. I don't know. I think this is a different Scarlets team this year.
Well, Farid is saying Bristol's run rampant, and who took Cleaver saying both teams had big wins last week. And I think it was the Scarlets, that beat Glasgow, if I'm not mistaken, 2-0. Yeah. And Gavin, I was telling you talk about that Stormers win over Munster last week. I was exhausted on Saturday night, and I was watching the Stormers Munster game, and I fell asleep around about halftime at 21-6 to Munster. I woke up at 2 a.m, so I slept through the rest of the Stormers game. I slept through the Scarlets game, whatever the next game was on there. And I started glancing through the results, and I thought I was still asleep. I thought I must be dreaming because of 27-21 Stormers. Scarlets beating like Warriors without conceding a point. I honestly thought, I don't know what's going on here. So some incredible results. But Farid is saying here, definitely a mispricing. Bristol can really accumulate the score. So, we'll, as I say, I'm always willing to defer to someone like Farid in a situation like this who follows all of the leagues. So thanks for that, Farid. Next game up, we do have URC, the team that did concede that big lead or let the Stormers back into the game. It's Munster. They are away to Bath. Bath minus 12.5. I know they've had a good, I think it was last season, they had a very good season. The boys from the live chat can come in there. Gav, nothing for you on this one? Gavin shakes his head on that.
And if you'd asked me what the handicap was on this game, I would have thought it would be a little bit closer to 0, but I don't know that much about Bath at the moment. Only time I ever followed Bath was when the Lions and Sharks fly-off, what's his name? Butch James was playing for them. That's the only time I really followed that team in the early 2000s, late 2000s, actually. I don't know. I'll watch some of these games and I'll have a better opinion for next week on them, but I got nothing. This doesn't mean anything to me. I get nothing.
I'm just going to read sports punting tips here. I'll be at both. I'll be at the Bath v Munster game. Bucket list stuff at the Rec. Given the price of the tickets, £149 per ticket. It's a no bet for me.
And he says he's not having a bet. He is having a bet. He's spending £149 on the game. That's having a bet, bro.
Imagine paying 3,500 to watch the Sharks. I'm happy to give weather updates, etc., for anyone who wants it close to the kickoff. So you can follow him on X, of course. There you can see he's commenting.
Just go see the Bath. Go look at the actual Bath in Bath. That's all you have to do. Take a photo of that.
Just looking, there's been a few more live chats. Emil joining a different Scarlet team by winning one of their last 8 matches. He's having a bit of a go at you there, Gav, when you say a different Scarlet team.
Yes. I got inspired by Wales doing okay against Japan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's doing okay against South Africa. This cap is a bit high, says Fareed. Bath to win, but Munster is serious about this comp. That's true. Munster got quite a proud record in this comp, certainly in the past. Victor Sanchez, really good win on Sunday by Bath versus Saracens in London. Come back from 14-0 down, and it was them all the way. And let's just have a look. Falling behind here. Both are the real deal. Beat Saracens last week. Oh, Bath, sorry. Jeez, I keep missing. My eyes are so bad. Bath are the real deal. Preshak is expecting Munster scrum to take a bath. And he got the tickets free, sports punting tip. So that is good to know. Right, let's move on to the next game. We must be getting...
That's why it's going.
Yeah, because £149. Well, that is quite something. I definitely don't have a view really on this one, other than I quite like this Northampton side over the years, and they're also one of those sides that travel quite well. I think they've made semi-finals last couple of years in this competition. Powell, plus 6.5 at home. I'll be interested to see what Fareed and the boys have to say about this one, Gav, because I know French teams at home normally strong, but I've got a feeling this could be a
catches my
Northampton
attention.
game.
6 points is very close to 2-1, 16-10 to 2-1 in that range. I'm definitely interested in the French team at home if they're going to give me 2-1. Yep, that game I will have a punt. I know nothing about it, but the price tells me something looks funny there.
Sorry, carry on.
I remember them having a big win recently, that Power. Can't remember if it was in the end of the last competition in May, but I do remember them surprising a few people. Can't remember. Don't know.
Speak your truth, saying Finn Russell pulling the bar strings. Victor Sanchez, Northampton for me. All the internationals should be back, especially Freeman. Total points for Power Northampton. Yeah, fair enough. This is a weekend where I am going to mainly be looking at the points lines, I must say, in the comp. And Northampton can beat the cap, says Fareed. Right, let's move on to one of the biggest caps you're going to see, the biggest cap you're going to see this weekend, Gavin. And I can tell you there's been plenty of money for Toulouse. There was, I actually can't remember the opening line exactly, but let's just say it could have been about 26 or 28. 26, it quickly went to 30. And it quickly jumped up to 35.5, 36.5 against the Sharks. Toulouse should welcome Dupont back. I think he came off the bench last week, so a good chance he starts. And the bookies here are expecting a big win for Toulouse. And the question is it a big enough handicap that they've given us there?
This Sharks team's got a lot of problems, Brent. I'm a minus punter here all the way, and this could be very big. This could be another 50, 60. I don't think the Sharks even score. They've been so poor. I'm a minus punter here, happily. Sharks, you got 26. Doesn't matter, it'll be 50 plus. Can be very big.
Yeah, he agrees with you. Yeah. He agrees with you. Now, Fareed, you posted an interesting one. You say Toulouse should get this cap off. But the reason it's interesting is there was a similar game last season. The Sharks were away in France, and I can't remember. I've got a feeling it could have been Bordeaux, but I could be that someone. And it was also a similar handicap. It was huge. But I took the view that the Sharks were going to get hammered in the first half. And I backed the Sharks. I backed the French team. I think it was Bordeaux on the halftime handicap. And the Sharks, bloody well, I think they were only like one score down at the break. And they ended up getting hammered by 60. And that was one of my reminders that I'm just not a very good halftime handicap punter. But I just chose
in that case, Brent, and it applies to this game as well. If the Sharks are within 7, 10, maybe 12 at halftime, you might find you're going to get a minus 25 or a minus 28. Yes. And then you can have a go because it's out of line of what it should be. I always say this, though. If you expect a team to win by 10 and they win by 10, during the game, there are so many opportunities that they don't look like they're going to win by 10. They look like they're going to win by 3 or lose by 2. And that's the time to punt them. Because if you can look at a result, and I'm talking about a result where the Lions-Bulls Lions game last week. If you look at the result and you just realign how the points are scored and you still come back to the same result. I mean, you could have 28-0 and then it's 43-33, or it could be 33-0, then 33-43. So it all depends on the order of the points, and that's where the opportunity comes for the punt, because if Toulouse are going to win by 50 and, it's 0-0 at 15 minutes and the handicap's 35, it's now going to be 25 or 22, because that's how these algorithms work. They don't think about order of points. They think about what they're seeing right now. And the human will always look at that and say, okay, well, they're still going to win by 10 and they're losing by 10. So, you're giving me an extra 10 points, I'll take it. And then again, if you can get alternative handicaps in running, and it's very difficult. Not these bookmakers are very scared to do that. You can get 2-1 about your even money punt, or even 5-2 about your even money punt. So, we always go back to Sean Nicholas' 10-point rule, and it really does apply that. You've got to consider that the result is still going to be what you think the handicap's going to be. Let's put it that way. And if you're out, you go. And I mean, Argentina is a great example in these last couple of games. 14-0 down, 17-0 down. I'm just getting a big price about what I did take and what I would have taken anyway before the game. Yeah, there you go. There's an example.
Victor, that's 100%. My game. Sharks were 12-0 up, and I was on the halftime handicap, and they lost by 66-54. They lost by 54 points. Yeah. So, good memory there. Victor Farid saying also tries to avoid the first half handicaps, and Toulouse always score in bursts and then go quiet for periods.
I'm gonna tell you how you've told me many times that you don't get involved in halftime handicaps, and I'll be honest. In my lifetime, I probably had 5 or 4.
Yes.
I can count it on one hand. I don't get involved in those.
I probably had 20, and I think I'm striking at about 12% or something like that. So every now and again, I just see one that really tempts me. But no, 100%. I'm not going to get involved.
I was going to say, I've had 4 or 5, and I think I've lost them all.
It's just one of those things. Farid, to beat the algorithm, you have to keep a track of the original cap and use that as a base.
Yes, correct.
Right, let's move
on. And also understand the changes. So what, like you were saying, how did they go from 26 to 35? 9 points. Is that just money, or did something change? Because again, I'm not a Monday, Tuesday punter here, so I would never have got the 26, and I'm okay with that.
Yes.
I'm happy to bet at the number, tomorrow's number, or even Saturday's number. I might only have a bet. It might be minus 38 at the time of the start of the game, and I might have a bet. I don't worry that I missed. I don't have FOMO or any of that stuff. It might get to a point where I say, hang on a second, I might take a plus. And again, they could go, 20 points up in the first 10 minutes, and suddenly we're being offered plus 49 or plus 53. And then I'm going to go, hang on, maybe I'm going to go on the plus. So I don't know. You can't,
No, fair enough. I mean, if you're watching and running, you've got to call it as it sort of, as you've seen it unfolding. We've got 2 games left. I just want to quickly skim down and have a look at the weather. By the way, I put all the weather forecasts up on the blog. They're not all, none of these sites are 100% accurate. So it comes with a disclaimer. Take a look. And also, between Thursday and Saturday, a lot can change with the forecasts. But having a look at Gloucester, some light rain forecasts, should also potentially be a bit of a miserable game, and likewise for the Edinburgh game after that. But let's get on to the Gloucester game. Gloucester made minus 8.5 against Cast. Now, Gavin, you talked about Powell pulling off an upset. Now, I must tell you, and once again, the guys in the live chat can confirm if my memory is right, but last season, Cast were away to Saracens in the Champions Cup. Cast fielded a B-side. They were 30-point underdogs, and they won the game. I'll never forget that. I was on Saracens minus 30. So another thing about these French teams, and it's perhaps not as much as it used to be in the past, but they can also be a little bit unpredictable sometimes. So this looks a bit of a tricky encounter for me. It's not one I'm probably going to get involved in, and without putting words in your mouth, I don't think it's one you're necessarily going to get involved in.
No.
Right, let's go to the final game. There has been money for the French side here. We got Edinburgh against Toulon. I think it was plus 3.5, plus 4.5. It's gone out to plus 6.5. Also, I'm not too clear on I know Toulon are one of the strong French teams, but I'm not too clear on them. Edinburgh, this to me could be a game where I would look for points. If the weather's bad, you might get a points line in the low 40s. And with some of these pitches and artificial pitches these days, the weather's perhaps not as big a factor as it used to be. Anything for you in the final game there, Gav, while I bring up some live comments?
It looks a bit big, that handicap, the plus. I mean, I'm likely to have a go at Edinburgh, but again, watch a little bit. There's Farid going the other way, but I'm definitely, this is not even 1 unit stuff. This is like rounding your balance from 176 Rand to 100 Rand, that kind of bet. I'm not going big on this stuff.
So just speak your truth, making the comment about the 4G pitch. And it's very relevant. And a lot of these European sides have got like 4G and whatever different types of pitches. And obviously because of the weather there. But what it does mean is, like in the past when it rained all day, you had, it didn't matter if the rain stopped. You still had mud everywhere and that. Whereas now with these surfaces, it might rain in the morning and clear up and you've got sort of perfect conditions for the afternoon. So it is worth having a look at that if you are a points punter, having a look at what sort of pitch could be up there. That brings us to the end of the Champions Cup. That's pretty much all there is, Gav. What I'm going to do is ask you for your opinion on the, first of all, anything that stand out for you this weekend. It's not a weekend where, put it this way, it's a weekend where if I do have a big bet, it's going to be like you, taken closer to the game. But anything stand out for you, what we discussed?
No, but the Lions and the Cheetahs are also playing. They're obviously playing in the Challenge Cup. Now, the Lions are playing Benetton, where, if you remember correctly, and Henrik will smile when he hears this, but I did punt the minus on that game. This is going to be I think the Lions will smash this Italian team, and I don't know what minus they're going to come up with. The Lions, for me, will be favourites. Might be something like 4 or 5, but I think the Lions are going to have a great game at home. It's a 2:00 starter. You'll have to tell me about the weather. I don't know. But I like the Lions in a revenge match of just a few weeks ago. Ulster is in the Challenge Cup as well. Yes,
that's Friday night's game. Just to let you know, it's minus 20.5 Ulster against Racing. But we don't have any lines yet for the Lions game. But what sort of? Okay, let's look at it this way then, Gav. I'm pricing up. I'm the bookie. I'm going to give you a line, and you tell me if that line's low enough for you to fire the Lions. But Lions minus 13.5.
Yes, I think this is over 20. This is a big win. And I'm actually expecting them to come up with something like around about 8 or 9. I think they'll come up with a single-digit number. But I'm definitely a minus punt on the Lions. You look at the form of the two teams. Lions have won their last 3, and Benetton have lost their last 3. So since beating the Lions, they've had a bad run. Now the Cheetahs is an interesting one because they, as you know, are playing out of the Netherlands, and this is an away game to start for them.
Right.
So their home games are played in somewhere in the Netherlands. I'm not 100%.
I remember that last season. I didn't. Yeah. And who they playing, Gav?
They're playing on Sunday. I did see it earlier. Sorry, I'm looking again now. Cheetahs are playing against Exeter. So they're playing in England at 7:30 on Sunday night. Our time, 7:30. I don't know how good Exeter are, but I don't think the Cheetahs come close in this first game. I'll be a minus punter against them. I'll be very surprised if they even stay in touch in this game. And again, that's a comment not knowing how good Exeter are. But I've got a feeling they're very rusty. I don't know how strong their team is at the moment. They have won the odd game in this competition, but I wouldn't be, even if I'm one of those supporters. As a South African team, I'll support them, but I don't think they come close here. This could be listen, if this is a massive handicap like 30 or 35 or 40, then I might have a small punt on the Cheetahs. But honestly, any minus under 20 or even 15, around about 15 to 20, I'm expecting, and they lose it. I'm a minus punter against the Cheetahs this weekend.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, and I have watched Exeter a lot over the years. Normally play some entertaining, high-scoring rugby, so it could be worth having a look at points at that one. Just to run through your Huns treble, Munster plus 12.5, Saracens minus 14.5, Toulouse minus 35.5, and that works out at 11-2. Who took Cleaver saying Exeter? I think he put his bet. He said I think it was Sharks to get Sharks get pumped as his best bet. Yes, I'm just going further up and having a look
It's a
at that.
capital P, capital U, capital M, and the rest of them capital.
Absolutely.
With some exclamations at the end.
That's it. And otherwise, Gavin, anything else? Anything else you're looking forward to?
No, just the cricket. I'm going wine farm. I'm going on wine tram in Franschhoek on Saturday with friend Kevin. And I will give a shout out here. Actually, my last stop. I'm on the red line, and the last stop is Hout Cabrier, and they're one of my customers in my business. And they very nicely gave me a wine barrel, which is now sitting on my patio, and it's in its glory. It's an old one. And he didn't want any money. He just said to me, massage the invoice a bit, which is what I've done. So he got something for it. But I was very impressed with him.
You added 10%, did you?
No, I reduced it. But where I was very impressed, though, the guy rolls, his name's Tim. He's the wine farmer at Hout Cabrier. He rolls the barrel up to my van. He first says to me, "We've got a vehicle to take us home." I said, "Yes." So he rolls it over and he lifts the thing up. Now, when I get home, I'm now lifting it down. My gosh, I'm going to say he's about 40, so he's younger than me. But he picked this thing up like it was, I don't know, chocolate cake. When I picked it up, it wasn't chocolate cake. It had grown some bricks. It was extremely heavy. And then my wife and another mate of mine suggest, "Oh, it's very nice that you've got a barrel, but it's empty. Like, surely they could have filled it up with wine for you." And fun fact, I don't always say the word fun fact, but a wine barrel takes 300 bottles of wine. I didn't realize it was that big. So, yeah, that's I'm now happy. I have a wine barrel, didn't pay much for it, and I'm going on the tram. I don't know if other people have been on the Franschhoek train, but I'm going on Saturday. Quite excited. And I'll be obviously watching the cricket from Glass 1 at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I might even watch a bit of golf this weekend as well. Prashak just saying, guys, what do you think the issues are at the Sharks? Purely coaching and or players, board structures, organizational culture? I mean, we won't get into a big debate on this, but personally, I think it goes beyond just the coach. Prashak, I think there's just something wrong with the culture there at the moment. That's my view.
I'm in agreement, Brent. I think it's not one thing. I think there's anything from 5 to 10 things wrong, and I just. Again, we go back to the Wales conversation last week. At some point, the Sharks are going to start playing well. And the trick here, or not the trick, the skill is to figure out when it's about to turn, because that's where the money is. If you can find these teams on a turn, you can profit for 3, 4, 5 weeks. You can beat that algorithm and those little maths geniuses in Switzerland and Germany, wherever they are. Best bet for me, Lions minus against Benetton. Really. Absolutely, and I'm going to follow that up with Stormers. I think the Stormers can win this game, and if not, they'll come very. I know it's 1 point handicap, but I like the Stormers. I don't like the price, and that's very important. I'm going to stress that. I'm going to punt them, but nowhere near any big numbers.
You would have liked sort of plus 7.5 or something there.
Yes, and a 2-to-1 board price, but 12 to 10, I'm still interested, and you should get 12 to 10. So I will back them, but I'm not hammering it. And of course, my best bet though, Brent, out of all of that actually is South Africa win the toss in one of the cricket match on Saturday or the next one. They win the game and you're getting a big price. If India win the toss, you'll win your bet, back them, but you're not going to get the price you will if South Africa win the toss. And interestingly, and this is very interesting, goes back to your roulette conversation last week, India on a 20 toss losing run right now. They've lost the toss 20 times in a row. I'm not joking. 20 times.
You're kidding me?
No.
20 times in a row.
20.
I mean, as you say, going back to roulette, 20 blacks in a row or 20 reds in a row. Unbelievable. And you know that bookies, Gav, you could tell me as a bookmaker, did anyone ever take it? Bookies always have the toss up there and they bet 9 to 10 the pair.
Yeah,
Did anyone ever take 9 to 10?
Yes, they did. In fact, that was the first. Yes, they were. It was the first time we ever saw instant gratification. I remember my father visiting because he lives in America. He was here in 2008 Euro soccer tournament was on at the time. And on the Saturday, we're sitting at home, we're having a braai, and he sees me go to the computer and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm putting the result in for the toss." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "People bet on the toss." And he said, "Why would they do that?" I said to him, "Because you get paid right now. We put the result in, you get paid. So instant gratification in punting is very interesting. People want to get paid right now. They want to have a bet. They're not interested in 5-day cricket and 4-day golf and that kind of thing. People punted the toss was a big bet. It was lovely. We stand tosses for 10, 15, 20 grand. I said, go.
Well, Mad Dog's got me laughing. He says he's had a shooter every time you've mentioned cricket tonight on the show, and he can't even.
He's drunk.
He can't even. Yeah, so I enjoy that. Hooter Cleaver saying Plumtree living with the ex-wife. I misread that at first, that he was living with your ex-wife there, Hooter Cleaver. So I had to read that one again. As well. But you're looking forward to that. But Gav, just quickly to finish off on cricket as well. You're telling me India have lost something like 20 tosses. Of course, what does that, as the old roulette player, get me thinking? Surely they're going to win a toss soon. I might be that guy's punting the 9 to 10, doubling up each week.
We'll see how much money you're down if you've punted them 20 times. Yeah. Or, in fact, I'm not going to be an idiot here. You probably get involved when they've lost 5 in a row. And then you have the 6th one and you lose, and the 7th. And once you get to the 12th, you're putting down triple your money. You're out of business. You're dead. In fact, you've shot yourself at toss 17. You haven't even found out that it's 20.
I know the roulette theory, just to touch on that for a bit, was always, I think, you had to, once it got to 6 or 7 in a row, because the theory was you put 100 Rand down, you lose, you then put 200 Rand down, you win, you made 100 Rand profit. But the problem is, you could only do it so many times till you hit the table limit, and I guess you could do it with different, but it's funny because I look at it the other way. Imagine you were opposing India on the tosses. I mean, I'm using tosses as an example. This is more just I would never bet on the tosses. But tell me the mindset now. Let's just say you say they've you don't even know how many they've won or lost in a row, but you start punting and you go against them and say, you win 4 in a row. Now, what is your mindset at that stage?
I say you'll carry on, but you'll reduce your stake. So the 5th one, you're going to have less money on. You're going to do the opposite of what the guy that's punting the other side is going to do. Because you've won your money, you want to keep your pot. So let's say you go 100 Rand, right? So you're up $400 or 300.
But worse still,
whatever it is.
I'll give you. I'm going back. I don't play roulette anymore, but I'm going back to those days. Yeah, and worse still, you may even flip. You may even look what. And I'm going with my mindset when we used to play roulette. Like, okay, now they've lost 7, 8 in a row. I'll be making money out of them, but you know what? I'm going to start opposing them now. And then 12 matches later, they're up to 20.
And you down.
Unbelievable.
And
I can tell you one thing that I didn't.
First 8 right.
Yes. And then you end up going down. But, sorry, I think the Wi-Fi played up a little bit there. I might have lost you, Gav. Are you still there?
No, I stopped talking when I thought you were going to carry on.
Sorry, man. Yeah. But anyway, I can tell you one thing I didn't expect at the start of the show, that I'm not watching the cricket, but I'm going to be watching the toss. Can't wait for that.
Correct. An hour before the game. Great.
Anyway, Gavin, thanks very much. Thanks to all the guys in the live chat. Some great comments here. Mad Dogs, hope you don't have Mad Dog odds. Hope you don't have too big a hangover tomorrow. Fareed, hope you have a great weekend. I know you're looking forward to all the rugby. And we'll see you next week, Thursday night, 9 o'clock, for the Handicap Rugby Chat Matters. One thing I want to say, I'm just also testing, thanks to the guys who tested the QR code last week. This one actually links to the newsletter. So I know most of you guys probably get it anyway. If you followed last week's advice, you probably unsubscribed. But if you are new to the show, hit that a click and see if you can subscribe. I'm quite interested just to see that it does work. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Gav. Have a great weekend. And we'll no doubt be in contact on a bit of WhatsApp.
Yep. Thanks, Brent.